Welcome back, thanks for tuning in. For those of you familiar with the channel, know I do an awful lot of projects, and those projects often are held together with dowel pegs. Some time ago I put together a simple dowel jig, and I've been using that ever since, and I haven't had any issues with the jig itself, and I haven't had any problems with any of the projects I put together with the joints breaking or delamination, any of those sorts of things that might happen because it's being held together with glue and pegs. But recently I had put together an old-fashioned toolbox and had no problem putting it together, except a couple of the pegs bent over, or the heads kind of like mushroomed, and I couldn't get them all the way in. And I was thinking, is that going to weaken the joint? And a couple of them I decided to use a slightly larger diameter drill bit and put them in. They went in really easy. And then of course the next thing I'm thinking about is the looser, even though it has more glue, dowel peg also weakening what I'm doing. So this is what I've decided to do. I'm going to put together 3 joints. So I've just cut these up here. There's going to be 2 for each. There's going to be one that's just going to be straight glue. There's going to be one at 7/32, which is the one I have to pound in. And I'm going to go up a 64th to 15/64ths. And that is going to be the one that's going to be a little bit more loose, so going to be a little bit more glue around it. And I'm going to see if there's any difference. I'm going to test their strength. Unfortunately, my only method of testing the strength, the only way I have of testing it that is numerical is a scale that I use for weighing coral. And it's old, but it should suffice. So that's why I'm drilling these holes here, because that'll fit around the, there's a little hook on the end for putting a bucket on. And I'm going to put that on there. I'm going to fill it with water, and I'm going to see at what point these fail. So just straightforward, same thing I've done all before. I'm going to just drill holes. This is I think the smaller one of the 2. I am going to label them, by the way, so I know which one's which. And just going to glue them up as I always have, and then let them cure overnight. And then I'm going to put them through their paces. I mean, going into this, I wasn't really expecting to see too much of a difference between the 7/32 or the 15/64. There is a marginal difference between the 2. Again, it is easier to put the peg in, but I wasn't really expecting much. I did go into this expecting that sometime during this process, the glue-only joint would, obviously break the easiest and, wouldn't hold all that much weight. It's just, 2 4-inch pieces of wood. The only reason why I picked 4 inches is because that's the size of my current dowel jig. And like I said, I just figured that small amount of glue wouldn't hold it very long. I was a bit surprised about that. It is actually surprisingly strong. So anyway, we're going to do that. See, I've labeled them there now. I'm going to glue them up here, and I'm going to, like I said, put them through their paces. You can see the hammer I'm going to be using there. That I built quite some time ago. It's all held together with glue and dowels, and I've been pounding on these things, as you're going to see here shortly, and it hasn't had any issues whatsoever. Now, part of this come about because I recently saw a channel, and it's going to be in the next video because this is going to be more than just one video about this. I want to be able, I really do like using dowels. I find them easy, and I like the fact that there aren't any screws and that sort of stuff in the joints, and I plan on trying out a few other things. And I came across this channel. I will put up a link to it in the next video because it will be more pertinent at that point. And yeah, you'll see there's going to be a different way I'm going to be doing my dowels, the jigs for them from now on, simply because I want to try out some different approaches. I want to try out hidden dowels, a bunch of other stuff that I can reliably put dowels in place, and also of course be able to accurately have a good joint. So this, as you can see here, I have to tap them in initially, not a problem. Set it all up, and then I have to really whack on these. Fortunately, they line up well, and there's never been any issues. You see, I have to really pound on this to get it to go in. Fortunately, for this test, none of them bend over or broke, so that's perfectly good too. And then this is going to be the easier one. This one is going to go through quite simply. And again, like I said, it has its benefits. So yeah, I mean, you can see I'm just popping them in here. I don't have to give them a tap in with a mallet to get them to set up properly. And watch this here. This is gentle, just little taps, get them in. They go all the way in, of course, which is kind of beneficial too, as it makes it a lot easier when it comes time to get them to, sand off and stuff. You can see the one on the left there. There's a bit of a round over on the end. I'm putting tape on these simply because I always have. I always put a little bit of tape on just to hold the joint together. That's the only reason for that. I want to keep things consistent. Also because this is being clamped down quite hard compared to the other two. So there you go. That's just glue. And this is the 7/32, and then there's the 15/64. And then I'm going to set up my, it's kind of a make-do thing. But like I said, it's using an old coral weighing jig that had a scale, and basically it was just a bucket. I've left it hanging from my ceiling joists ever since I used to use it when I used to sell coral, and I just brought it down, put the hook in it there, and then used a zip tie there you can see to put it to the bucket. And my assistant here is helping me out. Very curious what I was doing. So I'm going to do is I'm going to fill that with water, and as you can see there is a loop of rope there just because I was expecting this. This is actually, believe it or not, one of the dowels. This is the 15/64. I have no idea why I started with this one. I think it's just because I was using it to set up what was going on here, and I just left it there. This is initially here. You can see the scale's doing really well. And then my scale died. I think it's the next bucket, next pail full here. I was just counting it out, and then it just faded right out, unfortunately. But as it turns out, it doesn't really matter because I know the size of these pails, and as you can see, it is almost full here. These pails hold 60 pounds of water. And at this point, I was saying, well, all right, that's nice and strong. Mostly what I was concerned about, of course, was the difference in strength between the dowels and the straight glue. And this is straight glue now. And I thought, well, this should give. And as you can see, as we're getting closer to the end here, I'm getting very cautious. I was expecting the thing to drop and be caught by the ropes. But it held. This is, like I say, I'm just being very careful now. I'm putting in the last pail of water. That is now 60 pounds of water hanging from the end of this. And all that's holding it up is just that one, that one joint. And it's not at its most beneficial angle either. It is, I'm trying to tear that apart considering where it is not compression. This is almost a shear force. You can see, I just say, I don't believe it. So scratch doing this numerically. I'm going to go, unfortunately, now to an anecdotal approach. To do that, I need to cut off the corners so I can clamp on this. It does answer one question for me, and that question is, are the dowel joints stronger than the actual disc glue? Because this is disc glue. As you can see, I'm not even trying, and it breaks. I mean, this is a clamp. It's a strong clamp, but it goes down quite easily. And you can see it. Well, I mean, it not surprising. I mean, I don't expect it to be as strong as this. So this is the 7/32. This is the one that I thought I was concerned about because of all the glue being squished out. It is a tough joint, this one. Unfortunately, there's one other error in my procedures here, and that is I am using plywood. You can see this one's giving out here now, but it's not actually the glue joint that's giving out. It is the veneer. I'm not sure you're going to see it here, but you see it's quite tough. It takes a fair amount of effort for me to finally break that. But there it is. That's the veneer you see that's glued onto the wood. And I said, well, that's nice and tough. And I wanted to move over now to the 15/64, which is possibly weaker, possibly stronger. But unfortunately, you're going to see here in a second, I am having to try hard, well, not as hard apparently, as the other one, because apparently I think that other one is actually a little bit tougher. But again, this is not really valid because it's the veneer giving out. But now instead of, sorry, not the veneer, but the laminate between each of the sheets. So that gave out and unfortunately invalidates the whole thing. So I'm going to do this again at some point in the near future. And I'm going to use solid wood for it and test this out again, and possibly also pick up some form of way of giving you a numerical answer to this. But anyway, thanks for watching. Leave comments, let me know what you think about this and any suggestions for going forward with this, and I'll see you next video, and bye for now.